In Accra, the night held a breath of its own, humid, loud, and full of shadowed folklore. Everyone knew the rule: be careful of taxis late at night. But Kwaku, a university student known for his sharp mind and sharp retorts, had no time for ghost stories. Nonsense, he'd told his friends countless times. That Friday, after a long night of arguments and laughter, he stepped out of the light and into the dark, hailing a cab for home around midnight. The taxi pulled up, an older model but seemingly normal. Kwaku opened the door and slid into the back. The driver was quiet, a cap pulled low over his face, hiding it completely in the darkness of the car's interior. Kwaku gave the address. The engine purred, the car pulled away, and the city's familiar soundtrack of distant horns and muffled music began to fade. As they drove, a prickle of unease started on Kwaku's neck. The streets were growing darker, more deserted than they should be. They were supposed to pass through Osu, a place that never slept, yet the only light was the intermittent flash of the taxi's headlights. "Boss, are we still on the main road?" he called out, his voice sharper than he intended. The driver did not answer. The silence was heavy and cold. Kwaku reached for his phone, pulling up the map application to track their route. He tapped the screen, but the little bars in the corner were all gray. No service. He scrolled and swiped in rising panic, but the phone remained useless, a dead piece of glass in his hand, severing his link to the world outside the taxi. He looked up and out the side window, scanning the passing storefronts for a familiar landmark. There was nothing but shuttered shops and inky blackness, broken only by a single familiar sight: a faded billboard advertising a forgotten brand of soda. Then, a minute later, the exact same billboard passed by again. And then again. They were driving in endless circles. "Stop the car!" Kwaku shouted, his composure snapping. He lunged forward, grabbing the back of the driver's seat. The driver didn't slam on the brakes or speed up. Instead, slowly, deliberately, he began to turn his head. The face that finally came into the light was impossible. His eyes were pure, blinding white. No pupils, no irises, just twin spheres of polished bone. His mouth stretched into a smile impossibly wide, revealing teeth that were too long, too sharp for a man. The sheer horror of the sight froze Kwaku's blood. "You said you wanted to go home," the driver whispered, his voice a dry, rasping sound that echoed in the tiny cabin. Kwaku didn't think. He didn't plan. Instinct took over. He fumbled with the door handle, flung the door open, and threw his body out onto the rough asphalt. He rolled, skinning his hands and knees on the unforgiving ground, until he came to a stop in the dirt and shadows of the roadside. Dazed and bruised, he scrambled to look back at the yellow glow of the taxi's taillights, but there was nothing there. No taillights, no car, no sound of an engine, just the silent, empty road stretching into the blackness. The taxi had vanished into thin air. The next morning, Kwaku was telling his story at the campus cafeteria, nursing a scrape on his cheek. His friend, Amma, shook her head, her face serious. "Kwaku, that road was closed months ago," she said. "A terrible taxi accident. The driver, Ya, died right there." She leaned in closer, dropping her voice. "But they say his ghost still drives at midnight, looking for passengers who don't believe in the stories."